So there's a lot of people investigating the origins of this and comparing it to Pearl Harbor even. So it's these are tough things. These are tough things. Humanity as a whole is very unpredictable, and I think the more I've researched, there's a lot of surprises, things that have surprised me about what we're told is the truth and what I've found that contradicts what the official story is on history on a lot of levels, a lot of time frames, a lot of places. So just wanted to start off by acknowledging that, and we all do what we can, and yeah, it's hardest for people that are in the conflict, and yeah, let's hope it's smooth and safe for everybody going forward. Okay, today I wanted to return to the topic of EMFs. I thought it might be good to share a brief history of what I've seen. That depending on your age, you've seen part of what I've seen or more of what I've seen. Like I grew up in the 80s, and I grew up with landlines. We had telephones that just plugged into walls, no cell phones, no internet. And when I was first growing up, even before this push button, there was a circle called a rotary phone, and you'd have a spring-loaded thing. So if you hit 1, it'd be a short distance, and then if you hit 2, you'd a little farther, and then every digit was farther along this little circle. Then would go back, kind of like that. And then the headphones that were push button, but they would emulate the pulse. They called pulse, which would emulate the rotary phone. Now you would have a little toggle switch, which setting you wanted it to. And then there were beepers, and then there were satellite phones. And these are all, you may have heard of these. If you haven't, it'd be interesting to look up. Just like typewriters came before the computers. But I think people kind of, and there's still, of course, landlines today. So people are kind of used to the idea of something with a cord and you hold it to your ear and you think it's safe. This is what's interesting. This is why I wanted to make this video. Like, people are under the impression that holding a phone to your head is safe. And yeah, a landline phone would be, or an office phone is, but not the same. Doesn't go for a cell phone. Cell phone and mobile phone, same thing, uses a completely different technology. As I mentioned in my other videos, you have a data, so it has to communicate with a tower, which may be, down the street, quarter mile, might be very far away. So for it to communicate back and forth, it has to generate a pretty high signal, a pretty strong signal to do that, which is different from a landline. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's. I wanted to link to a post from a tweet rather from a doctor, Dr. Dennis Walker, who's got a graphic of looks like an MRI or an X-ray of someone with a white mass on the upper left of the image. And it says, the tweet says, "So many college and medical students now with brain cancer." I don't know if I'm pronouncing the next word right. Glioblastoma multiforme / GBM. I don't know what that is. So that is what I'm thinking. Most people don't realize that the device, a cell phone, is not the same as a landline. When you have this, you are not dealing with a device you want to keep there for very long. Now, if you turn off the data portion by putting it into airplane mode and put on the Wi-Fi, then you've reduced probably the highest output, the highest danger in the phone. And you just have to deal with the Wi-Fi. signal that's just going to communicate between your Wi-Fi router if you have one at home. So it is not the same. It is not the same as a landline. And if you think of the speaking of phone, it makes a few sounds this time of night. So just be aware of the different types of signals that come off of a phone. Remember, if you saw my other videos, you might have known I said that there's a data, which means that's to communicate with a cell tower, which may be big, humongous piece of equipment high up, and that may be down the road, tenth of a mile, quarter mile away. And then it has the signal, the technology to communicate with your router. That's the Wi-Fi portion. And then it has a third ability for shorter range, which is your Bluetooth. So 3 types of signals, varying intensity. That's a good word, the intensity, yes. So for a short duration, it seems to be okay if you hold it for a moment or two. You know, you're probably going to get some damage, but your body probably quickly, like Wolverine, just heals and you wouldn't even know it on the cellular level. And yeah, you may know that there is testing with a it looks like a mannequin, and the head is filled with saline solution, and they test it. How they test it, from what I recall, is that they test if it heats up. If it heats that saline water inside of the mannequin latex head, whatever it is, they say it's dangerous. But no, there are more studies that says it doesn't have to produce heat to damage the cells and the DNA. So I think it just makes you think like, wow, this is such a wonderful device, but is it really, how can it be dangerous? It's kind of perplexing, I think, on the psyche. People don't realize, you're like, it's not the same as a loaded gun. It's not like taking a sharp knife and sticking it in your pocket. We wouldn't mess with either of those haphazardly. But there is more danger than meets the eye. And that's what I think makes it a little confusing. I see women, they put it in their sports bra, or they're right in the front of their spandex kind of shorts. And I have to admit, I keep it in my back pocket, which is, muscle and bone, nearby muscle and bone. And I don't wear cargo pants, but when I did, I would move it around. So one time I'd put it in my left pocket, then my right pocket, rear pocket, then on my side pocket, on my left side pocket, on my right. There are cases and there are things that, that help reduce the signal. Because if you completely, which is just anything basically out of metal, you could wrap it in foil, and I know there's lots of jokes about tin foil and aluminum foil. They're not the same, aluminum and tin foil, by the way. I don't know if you can really bend tin like you can aluminum, but that's another story. But yeah, metal. So I was even thinking of something like a screen for a screen window. I used to have this stuff. It was a screen. It was like that kind of material. But maybe I was thinking, because you want to have the ability for the cell phone tower to communicate, unless you completely get rid of your phone, and or you find a way to put an antenna. There's a lot of cases. There's Faraday cages, and the Faraday concept is just you're putting it in a metal container. You put it in like an old coffee can if you can still find one, or an old Band-Aid box, which used to be metal, aluminum, I think, as well. And that will block the signal and keep you safe. So you have a couple options. You can physically enclose it in something. You can put it on airplane mode, but I usually just do that at the house. Or you could just keep it away from your head, because it seems to the head, the brain is more sensitive, more susceptible to being damaged than putting it in one's pocket. I haven't heard any story, thankfully, of anybody getting like what do you call it? Blastomas in the back, near the back pocket. Probably not the wisest thing to do, but it's better than your head. So don't keep it there for very long. I use the earbuds, the wired earbuds, if I make a call, or a speakerphone, and I keep it away. Really, you don't need a whole lot of distance, but you need some distance. And there's probably some sweet spot, like holding it to your head for 2 minutes is fine, or 3 minutes. It probably would take some extensive testing, but it's just not worth it, I think. So, what's the old saying? Caveat emptor, buyer beware, user beware. These are not toys. These are not innocuous. They are not without hazard. So, again, where this is the world we live in. We're in a, let's say, a wired world. We're in a, not wired, but a connected world, and it's an incredible convenience to be able to watch a TikTok video in the middle of nowhere, tweet from somewhere, call if there's, in all seriousness, to call for help. A friend of mine was in the middle, was stuck somewhere in California hiking, and he got, I think, search and rescue after him because it did communicate. So there are upshots. Like many things, there's good and bad, right? There are some advantages and disadvantages. So, look into it. So another precaution, in addition to all this stuff, make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure you're getting enough nutrients. I use a spooky machine to help me with some of my keeping my health up. That's what I use as a disclaimer. It's not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Go see one if you think you need to, if you have any concern at all. But there's things you can do to keep your body's defenses higher. So things like being exposed to cell phone radiation will be less of an issue. So that's it. Just be careful, be safe. And this goes for all technology, by the way. iPads, iPhones, Android, anything. And as I said before, you can't taste, smell, or usually can't feel the radiation. That's why it's so innocuous. I forget how to say that. So just be careful and know what's out there. Know what's in these things. All right, so stay safe out there, and if you don't know what a pager is or a beeper, go look it up. All right, y'all. Take care. I'll talk to you next time.